Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Facing the Music with Terry Oldfield. My name is John Valdivia, producer at idesound.com. This series, curated from candid conversations, will introduce a return to the mystery and wonder of existence, as well as our necessity to confront ourselves. We shall also feature selected pieces from Terry's extensive musical anthology. In this episode, Terry explores moments of ordinary life, visiting the topics of family, travel, and music, as well as the lessons they can bring about. Welcome to Facing the Music.
I think if we can, we follow our heart. But if you have duties, I don't know. I certainly felt I had duties at one point in my life. When you got a house and a mortgage and a car and you think too much. You can't sleep or you worry. Should I be doing this? Should I be not doing this? It's just a minefield. Children can take you out of that. They can. So I'm very grateful for the family. It certainly happens with the children because suddenly you are called at 3 a.m. by something other than me to act and to respond. And this is quite a big thing, you know, there's a lot of resistance there to start with. And after a while you start to feel honored to be used or to be called. My little girls, I always used to take them out individually for walks, and I had a little seat on the crossbar of my bike. Do you want to go down to the canal or down to the park? And yes, please, Daddy. Up they go and take a little picnic. And you just go and sit in the daisies and they would be totally bringing you into the present moment, you know, because that's what children do. They can't help it because they don't have any other place. So they gave me so much in return just by taking me out of my head, for God's sake. Look at what we're presented with every day, you know. I still enjoy sitting on a bench and watching people. I quite often just go to a busy area and I buy myself a coffee, maybe a Danish pastry or something nice, you know. And I sit and I just watch people. And I noticed recently I've been waking up at night and quite long periods of wakefulness and just being able to lie there in peace without thinking, oh, I should get back to sleep. I used to think I needed to sleep. Now I don't. I know I don't need to sleep. So I can enjoy being awake and listening to the rain or the frogs or whatever. Very relaxed. And I don't sleep, but I feel quite refreshed. It's almost like the mind is resting. The body needs to rest, but the mind is just happily awake. There's no sense of, I've got to get to sleep, otherwise I'm going to feel terrible in the morning. You know, there's none of that. There's little perks that I notice. If you're looking for evidence of transformation, then there are little perks, little things that happen, and that's one of them. And just a sense of ongoing happiness. I don't get fazed by much, and I'm willing to let go of insults. Like today I was driving into our road was a guy obviously texting, and he was coming straight towards me. My God, he wasn't even looking. So I did my best to get out of his way, and suddenly he looked up and went, and I let it go. And I noticed that I let it go. There's a kind of surprise as a noticing. I let that go. That's interesting. Terry didn't get upset by that. That's interesting. I mean, well, that was quite intense. There is that observing of me in action. I came across this expression called the high indifference. In yoga, it's santosha. It's that middle place where you're neither high nor low. You're just, is that so area. You don't mind what happens, but you're still in that intensity. You are actually in the waveform, which is still going up and down. You're no longer identified in the extremes of polarity. When the extraction from the stream of thinking happens, that is true freedom, because you're still in the world but not of the world. It comes into every aspect of life when you are okay with what is happening. When I used to wander around the Cotswolds, I used to always sit on the same spot and look and see the difference. It's so powerful. I can't describe it. It's like I will go out of my way to climb a hill and sit on the same rock that I sat on last year and look at the same view with the different perspective. And when I used to go to Norway every year, the river would have changed. I was always excited to go back to that same river, because during the winter, of course, the ice flows would have come down and gouged out different pathway for the river. Sometimes the river isn't there anymore, but it's over there. I'm going back with the specific intention of completing a few things. I just need to revisit certain periods of my life that perhaps were inspired by the writing of the book, and just to bring that area of memory up and see what comes out of it, because obviously there is something there, otherwise it wouldn't be focusing on it. It's like all of the past somehow is only repeating because it hasn't been fully put to bed, so to speak. That also applies to places, and one of the things I'm going to do is to try and find the Holy Brook. Remember I wrote about it in the book? Yeah, it's a very satisfying thing to complete something. It's a bit like when you delve into the past and realize that you have still things to say to somebody that were left unsaid. And it helps because it helps them also, because you trigger off incomplete stuff there. And so long as somebody isn't overreactive about it, you have the opportunity to complete that karmic load, which can detract from living in the present moment, which is what the book's all about, really. I've been also reading the third book of Robert Monroe, because he's talking about linking the there and the here. Because he's able to travel to the there, in other words, leave his physical and explore the there, he's able to connect with his other I there, he calls them. these are all not locked into time. And so he's able to revisit, in terms of modern language, you'd call them reincarnations. But it's totally beyond all that. It's not stories. It's to do with everything happens in present time, in the there. And so you're not limited by having to travel in that way. I mean, you can create a scenario. You are in a scenario where you are maybe 1,200 years ago, or whatever. Time doesn't mean anything. It's just a click in consciousness. Yeah, well, I have to jump onto a huge metal tube and spend 23 hours hurtling through space in order to get to another place, whereas, in the there, you use mental language to travel. There's no limitation. And there's a lot of places I'd like to just go and sit, where I have sat before, being in the same spot, in a different space, time-space, continuum, consciousness, which allows another kind of completion. The trees have grown up a bit, everything looks different. The atmosphere of that last time is still there, and that can be imbued into the present moment in a way that you sort of take it in and include it in a way that is quite powerful. So when I go to Norway, I have many rocks to sit on. Most people my age I meet have got pot bellies and limping. I mean, I'm not saying I may not be like that, but I don't feel like that. It's how young you feel. I don't feel any different to how I've always felt, really. Yeah, just doing things like that and responding to the moments, doing new stuff, doing a bit of cold water swimming in the waterfalls. Yeah. I do my regular Wim Hof breathing every day. I do that every day. I have done for a long time now. Yeah, keeping the lungs open and staying young while I can, I just do challenging stuff, like go for long walks, not just on a flat, but we go down to the bottom of the waterfall, we climb a mountain, things like that. And just do stuff that's a bit challenging. It's like when I was learning to live with the one eye, I had to get over my fear of not being able to see the contours, like walking down steps, down rocky pathways. I just had to do it and adapt to it. And I fell over a few times and I learnt to function somehow. We're only here for a short spell anyway, so let's make the most of it. This is the way I see it, I'm really not willing to live on this planet as a couch potato. I don't want to. If I'm not willing to give up and just get fat and lazy and drink and smoke, then I have to live right through and die with my boots on, don't I? With my flute, yeah. I mean, why not? Keep going as long as the body will allow. But I do also enjoy sitting quietly. We have at least 9 benches in our garden, places to sit, different angles on trees and things, so that every morning I make my cup of tea and I go and choose a different bench, to see things from a different angle. And it's amazing how you notice change. Whereas if you always sit in the same chair, looking out at, even if it's a beautiful view, the mind gets bored with it. You need to change your angle and look at it, or go just do something different. go to a different part of the woodland or wherever. I mean, I noticed when I was living in Greece that the older people, like particularly the men, they'd always walk to the same chair in the same town square and for their coffee in the morning. There's something nice about it, but at the same time, you could see that was their thing. That's it. And I'm not interested in really pushing the boundaries. I can't do anything until I can do it, That's the wonderful thing. But it has to be all right with me that I can't do it. And I've been helped over the last couple of years because I was out gardening one day and I pulled a muscle in my upper arm. I could hardly lift a teacup, so I couldn't do anything. So I was able to just sit a lot, watching the doing energy, watching the impulse to do stuff and not being able to do things. When you've got your best friend and your soulmate and you're doing it together, I've had it easy. I haven't got any advice to give other than, keep your eyes open and your senses finely tuned, because that person or soulmate or whatever could be unrecognizably approaching. You wouldn't know until they are here. Because you wouldn't, because you're looking for something else. We all have an idea of what we're looking for. Yeah, we've got this ideal. Yeah, this isn't the one. No, that's not the one. That moment, we both remember it. It was like a ka-choom, ka-choom. Was this, it was I don't know what it was. You can't go into it in the usual way we go into things,